Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to a Fresh Stories book talk, book corner. Still haven't decided. We're like 6 episodes into the book talk, and I still call it 500 different things. But that doesn't matter because we're very excited. We have Kristin here today. And, if you know me, you know I love a good book, a good novel. And we have a good one here today for you. So, Kristin, can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I am Kristin Bair. I'm a novelist and writing teacher, and I write fiercely and often humorously about women who are navigating perimenopause, marriage, motherhood, the mental load, and identity. My upcoming novel, which is actually my fourth, is called Clementine Crane Prefers Not To, and it tells the story of a woman radicalized against the patriarchy by her very first hot flash. It's funny, it's furious, it's feminist, it's coming out October 14th.
Amazing. Amazing. I am so excited for so many reasons to dig into this. One is that I'm a huge fan of novels about strong women and women changing the narrative about things, right? That's what we're all about here. Number two is I see on threads and Twitter all the time, people are begging for novels about women who are not just in their 20s, right? Which
Exactly.
is great when, we love to read about that too, but we're growing up, and there's a lack of novels about that. So, I would love to start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, this is your fourth novel. So, when did you start writing novels?
Well, I started writing when I was 7, and I knew that I would spend my whole life doing that. I was just one of those kids.
Mhm.
I wrote poetry through undergrad, and then somewhere between undergrad and graduate school, I started writing stories. And in fact, my first poem that I ever published was called Crumbling Steeples, and it was about my grandfather in the steel mills in Pittsburgh. And it turned into my first novel, Thirsty, and that came out in 2009. So then I have been a novelist ever since. I still write essays, and I've started to dabble in poetry again.
I love that. I love that. So tell us about this novel. Where did the idea come from? I'm going to guess it came from your personal story, but I'm going to let you explain that one. Where did this wonderful by the way, I'm obsessed with the title. Prefers not to is like a brilliant oh, I prefer not to. Nope, no thank you. I love it.
And, I did steal I Prefer Not To. I don't know if anybody is familiar with Herman Melville's short story, Bartleby the Scrivener. A Story of Wall Street is the entire title. And in it, Bartleby, who is a scrivener at the time, stops doing things and uses the tagline, I would prefer not to.
Uh-huh.
I dropped the wood, claimed it for Clementine, and that's where that title and like the structure of the story come in.
I love that. I love it. I also love the name Clementine because it's like the song, My Darling Clementine.
Yeah.
Um, yes, which is one of my favorite songs and also a very sad song. So, okay,
Yeah,
so
it
take
is.
us through it's a very sad song, but yet people sing it to kids before they go to bed. So,
Exactly.
where did Clementine come from? One of the things I love most talking to novelists is the world building, right? So, who is
Yeah.
Clementine? Where did she come from?
So she is this woman who she's a mom. She has 3 teens. She is married. She works in a library. She has been a yes woman her whole life. Somebody says, "Can you do this?" She says, "Of course." Her kids say, "Can you drive me here?" She says, "Of course." And she has completely ignored herself. Um, Her best friend, who lives just across from her, is 87 years old. And their friendship is magical, and it is her lifeline. In the opening chapter, I'm not going to give too much away, but Clementine has her first hot flash ever of perimenopause. And she knew nothing about it. She didn't know it was coming. She didn't know what was happening. She thought all kinds of different things were happening. And that is where the seed of the story took place. Now, I had been going through perimenopause. We lived in China for a good while. And when I moved back with 2 kids and a husband, I started waking up with night sweat, like to the point of nearly drowning. I thought, I'm dying. I was sure I was dying. Um, and come to find out, it was perimenopause and things
Yeah.
snowballed from there. And so these 2 things married, and I started writing.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this book. The more you talk about it, the more I can't wait to read it. Um, so I assume I know the answer to this, but who is your ideal audience for this book?
Women in perimenopause and menopause, and actually also women who are almost there, who are just because there's a lot more conversation going on about perimenopause right now and menopause with Dr. Mary Claire Haver, Tamsin
Mhm.
Fidel, and just being Melanie's We Do Not Care Club, which is really the I Prefer Not to club in my brain. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
I love that. I love that. And I would
yeah.
say even like you said, even women who are younger, who are looking
Yes,
at
absolutely.
this, from a long-term perspective, right? Saying like, I actually don't want to be the yes woman of my life. How do I not be the yes woman? And they can look to Clementine to guide them. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, so as somebody that has written a bunch of novels, what is the hardest part of writing a novel for you?
For me, it's the first draft, having everything in place. Because once I do, I am obsessed. Like, I love editing. I love rewriting. I love finding and filling the holes and connecting all the dots. But that first draft of like, oh crap, where is this going now? Is really challenging. Still to this day, even after four.
Yeah. Are you somebody that like, because I love to write too. I was like you. I knew I was going to be a writer my whole
Yeah.
life. I have a bunch of half-finished novels which have never been published, but do you, do you outline the whole novel first and then go back and fill it in, or what's your process like?
I have never outlined a thing in my life.
Okay, I love that.
It's the whole thing of pantser versus plotter. I
Yep.
am a pantser. It would not work for me if I had to like say this comes first and this comes first and draw it out. I would never be able to do that.
Yeah, no, I love that. So what is your and I think that that's important to say because there's a lot of
Yeah,
ways to write novels, right? And you also
absolutely.
teach this stuff and I'm always like there's whatever works for you works for you. So what has been your typical like routine as a novelist in getting a book from A to Z?
Well, often I almost, I think all four of them, I wrote the opening scene first. Like I see that seed and it expands and I write it. And once I have that, I know generally the direction. So I just keep pushing um, and hitting myself over the head to make sure I keep going. Uh, but once I can see that scene, then I can keep pushing. And that's the most
Yeah.
important thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Did you just fall in love with Clementine as you were writing her into existence?
Yes, I did. She, she is so vulnerable and so angry. And it's really both profound and fun to write an honest story of how a woman feels. Um,
Mm,
she's married to somebody who thinks he respects her, thinks he's a good husband, and come to find out he's really not. Um,
mm,
and I mean, he snores, which is one of the funnier pieces of how she handles this. She's like, I've just had it.
mm.
Like when she hits perimenopause, she's had it
Yeah.
and starts drawing lines in all kinds of ways and preferring not to, all
Mm,
kinds of things. But
I
in
love it.
addition to Herman Melville, this was also inspired by Henrik Ibsen's play A Doll's House, in which Nora is controlled to a certain extent by her husband, Torvald.
Mm,
Um, and I read that back in high school. And I knew
mhm,
then that in 100 years, it would be in something that I wrote. Same with
mm.
Bartleby the Scrivener. I read that in grad school. And I was like,
I love
somehow
it.
all this is going to come together. And it did.
I love that. I love it. I There's a lot of Dorothy Parker in this too for me. Like
Yes.
this,
Yes.
this
Absolutely.
kind of badass woman. I love that so much. Okay, so tell us where we can pre-order the book and, obviously anybody listening knows how important pre-orders are to authors. So, when can we pre-order? Where can we pre-order? And obviously I'll drop all the links in the show notes too.
Yes. You can pre order now. It is open for pre orders. You can go to your independent bookstore, which is, the number one way of doing it, walking down to the corner. You can go to Barnes& and Noble online, the other big giant
Mhm.
online. You can jump over to Penguin Random House and find it there. So anywhere where you can get books, you can order it. Bookshop.org, Indies.
Mhm.
So, yep.
Amazing, amazing. We will put the links in the show notes,
Thank you.
and, of course, and I can't wait to read this. One last question for you, Kristin. If someone's listening to this and they are an aspiring novelist, what would be a little bit of wisdom you could leave with them today?
So my writing and teaching mantra, which all of my students hear in their sleep now, is writing begets writing. That you can't think your way through it. You have to write your way through it. And the sooner you start doing that, the sooner you're going to finish that draft.
Ugh, but why does that make me wanna cry? Like, when you say that. It's so funny that you say that because we always say here at fresh starts beget fresh starts. That's, like, one of our mottos because it's true,
Ah,
like, like, when
absolutely.
often we have people who come to us for divorce, and then it's, like, a new job, and a new this, and a new house, and a new but the only way to get through is writing. That's profound. I mean, I love that. That's just really
Yeah.
profound.
Yeah. I'm going
Well,
to have
we're so
t-shirts
excited.
soon.
I was gonna say, first of all, that's what I was gonna say. I want that. I want a T-shirt that say "Prefer not to." I want
Yep.
sweatshirts. I want everything. Please make it all. I will
I'm
buy
going
it
to
all.
get the swag.
Amazing. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And I'm so excited to meet Clementine and support you. So please check the show notes for the link to buy the book and follow Kristin. And we can't wait to get this book into the world and, you know, prefer not to, but we're going to prefer to
That's
read the
right.
book. So there you go.
Thank you, Olivia. And thank you so much for your support
Of
and
course.
hosting me today.
Of course. Thanks. Thanks.